700 million.
360 million. Bad signing, gets a D grade.
This might go down as one of the worst contracts ever. I'm giving this an absolute F.
Omar and I were talking the other day about some of the largest contracts in free agent history because Shohei Ohtani, as we all know, signed the largest one to date. So we figured we take a look at who the largest MLB contracts in free agency were in history of the MLB and give them a grade and see whether these are going to be ones that pay off at the end of the contract or if they're just going to be complete money pits for these teams. So let's go through one by one, jump in.
Either way, let's just say that at the end of the day, all these people won because they got the richest contracts in sport. So they're winners monetarily.
And their agents are winners as well. Let's not forget those guys. So the first one is Mr. Coverboy, of course, is going to be none other than Shohei Ohtani, two-way sensation, looking happy as ever. Number one on the list, of course, with the Dodgers coming in at 10 years, $700 million from 2024 to 2033.
Wow. First off, I think, again, we talked about this in other videos. It's crazy contract, 10 years. He's probably going to be into his 40s or something like that by the time the deal's done. And plus, he's not going to be pitching this year. He's going to be hitting. Obviously, he can still hit. And they just showed a video in spring training of his first swing was a home run. So there you go. That's worth the contract, I guess, $700 million. But I think, again, this contract was, like we talked about too, I feel like the Dodgers were buying very high this offseason. I don't see how it's going to play. I don't see how it's going to age well later on in his career. It's going to bring him a ton of money. You got the market. They got, they're going to get the butts in the seats, which is, you have to sometimes separate the business side of things from the baseball side of things. But you also got to look at the championship side of things. Is it going to bring them championships? And if I had to give this a grade from A to an F, I'll give this signing a B.
You give this signing a B. I actually going to disagree with you. I'm going to give this signing a worse grade. I'm going down all the way to a D, as in Dodgers. and I think this is just a complete overpay. Yeah, he's one of the most talented players, but to your point, he's not pitching this year. I guarantee by the end of his contract, he won't be pitching for the end of it, which really takes a lot of the luster away from who Shohei Ohtani is. He's supposed to be this two-way phenomenon, and I'm pretty sure for the majority of this long deal, he will not be pitching. And so because of that, he's just a hitter. I mean, to me, he's just a guy that's going to hit some bombs, get you some RBIs. I feel like those are guys that you could pick up off the scrap heap. I mean, you got guys like Nelson Cruz who are still hitting 30-plus bombs and he's like 40 years old. So not to say Shohei Ohtani is Nelson Cruz, but you get the point. You can get hitters for a lot cheaper than this. And again, if they do not win those rings you're talking about, this is going to be a complete failure of a contract. He's still a cool guy that's going to bring a lot of money to the team. So for that, I'm not giving it a complete F. But for this price tag, this is a really bad signing, and I think it's a D grade from my perspective. So one that I think they'll regret later on at the end. Number two, we have from my New York Yankees, the Judge coming in at 9 years, $360 million, signed through 2031. He obviously gets a lot of credit for this because he bet on himself. He actually ended up winning the MVP and, came out and went gangbusters and got the contract that he really deserved from the team, stayed with the Yankees, or most likely finished a career there, which is a great thing. This, to me, made a lot of sense for both sides. Group, homegrown team, Yankee player, and he's just a fan favorite, brings in a lot of money and revenue for the Yankees. So all in all, I do think that this is going to be a great contract, but not top level. I do think there's going to be some regret at the end. He's a big guy, big body, and I'll be honest, I could see him breaking down at some point. Will the Yankees take care of him in terms of maintenance, making him play a new position where it's not as much wear and tear, maybe first base, possibly? I can see all those things coming into play, but if he can at least step into the batter's box, he can hit bombs, even if he's just DHing because he's so big. So I give this grade a B+ from the Yankees perspective, and signing Aaron Judge to this deal, even though it was a pretty massive one.
That sounds like Yankee biased in my opinion. But no, I think it was a fair deal. Again, I think this was more of making sure you get them versus someone else coming to get them. Like I think San Francisco was on the list as well. Even though I think he always wanted to stay with the Yankees, that was just more leverage. These we know that these 9, 10, 11, 12 year deals, like you said, age horribly at the end. You're gonna have to hope for some championships early. We need some championships early because again, you say he's going to go to DH. How you going to be? That's a lot of money for a DH if he does wind up turning into a DH like Nelson Cruz or something at the end of his career. He's bringing butts to the seats. He's putting people in the stands, which is something that again you also got to look at. That's what the you know the front office is looking at sometimes more than winning. To be honest, right? They want to make money. They want to make sure they're profiting at the end. But with this, I'm going to give it a B. That's my final grade for the Aaron Judge. Just because he's such a big personality, literally big. He's 6'7" or whatever, and he's just you don't really get a lot of these guys in your organization like that. He brings people in, so I just don't like going so far, and he's gonna get older. We know he's gonna start breaking down, which he has already in the past. So that's why I'm gonna say B.
Next up at number 3, we have Mr. Bryce Harper of the Philadelphia Phillies with his 13-year, $330 million contract, similarly signed through 2031. So obviously we've seen Harper do some terrific things as a Philadelphia Philly. He actually got them into the World Series, even though they fell short in the World Series. Still a terrific accomplishment, and I think addition to the team. To me, Bryce Harper has elevated that team because of his energy and his passion. The dude fits right in with that Philadelphia marketplace. We know that those fans are super passionate about their sports, and he fits right in. He hates to lose. You see it. His emotions, he wears them on his sleeve. But I think that is great for the sport, and I think it's great for the city of Philadelphia. So this is a terrific signing to me. I'm going to give the Phillies, even though this was a big number, I think the fit was perfect. Superstar hitter. I think I could see him aging really well as well now that the DH is in both leagues. I'm going to give this actually an A. The grade on this, because they've already made it to a World Series. There's no reason why they potentially can't get there again. But I think they're already getting their money's worth when it comes to Bryce Harper, and I think it's going to play out like that for the remainder of this contract. I give this an A.
Yeah, well, I'm actually gonna agree with you. I'm gonna go with the A as well. And again, everything you said is right when it comes to this. He plays hard. The city, Philadelphia is no joke. They're very serious about their sports. You know that. And he meshes perfect with them and he wants to win. He's very loud. He's in your face if he has to be. He hit the home run and was staring at what was his name? Oswald versus the Braves. So he's very in your face. He's gonna again bring people to. If you notice, one of the main things about these players is that they bring people to the stands too. That's why you're actually paying them a lot of money. So Bryce Harper's bringing people to the stands. He's playing hard every day with a broken arm, face bleeding, whatever. He's the man. I love that. I love people who go out and play, even when they don't feel like they probably can or whatever. He pushes through. So all in all, I'm gonna have to say, what did I say? A B plus, right? A. There we go.
You said an A. You agree with me? A.
Yeah, A. Yes, A. 100%.
2 A's for Harper. Coming in at number 4, actually in a tie with number 5, is Corey Seager of the Texas Rangers. 10 years, $325 million. Again, signed through 2031. And we know that he had a historic deal, but he also had a really great season to back it up. And you see that the results were terrific with the Rangers winning the World Series and Corey Seager being a really integral part of that World Series win. So you were talking about World Series with these big contracts. Corey Seager just signed this deal, and here he goes winning a World Series, right towards the beginning of it. So everything else on top of this, from the Rangers' perspective, is just icing on the cake. So I'm going to give this a really strong grade, as high as a B plus for the Corey Seager signing here. $325 million for the Rangers.
This is an example of somebody who isn't really a household name, though. Like, this is Seager someone that's gonna make people come to the park, and see him? I guess so, but he's not up there with Judge. He's not there with Ohtani, with Harper. You know what I'm trying to say? So this is more like a fundamental play. They were looking at, he's great on the field, amazing bat, obviously. And if you look right there, it says pair of postseason MVP awards. So he comes through when you need him if you make it to the playoffs. And that's exactly what you need. Some players don't show up in the playoffs, a la Mike Trout. Even though he doesn't get there too much, he doesn't do that well in the playoffs in a small sample size. I think it's a good signing. I'm going to give it a B+ as well.
Coming in to round out the top 5 is none other than another Dodger, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, with his 12-year, $325 million deal. And this one to me was mind-boggling because he's never pitched a MLB pitch. And yes, I know he's done well in the World Baseball Classic. I know he struck out a couple of hitters there that played in the MLB. However, this is a huge contract to give to someone who hasn't proven he can get through the MLB lineups over multiple years, let alone one inning. So I feel like this is going to be a real bite in the tuchus for the Los Angeles Dodgers later on. He's 25 now, so by the end of this contract, he'll be 37-ish years old. And I'm pretty sure he's not going to be pitching at the same caliber he is now that's worth $325 million. So I think this one's going to end up being a really major problem for them towards the end. They'll see how they get creative about it. But this is right here. It says this is represents the most guaranteed dollars ever given to a pitcher. And to me, it's sort of an insult to the pitchers that have pitched in the MLB for all these years and haven't gotten deals like that. But it's the Dodgers' money. I just feel like this is going to be a tough one for them. I'm going to give this overall a C. No, I'm changing my grade. This one is going to be a D grade for the Dodgers because I can't see this being a great one at that price tag.
This season is going to be very, very interesting because this might go down as one of the worst contracts ever in the history of sports. And again, he has a lot of hype. He did well in the World Baseball Classic and in the Japan League or whatever. And he's good. I saw the highlights and the stuff. He's a great pitcher. But again, MLB hitters are different. They catch on to stuff pretty quickly. And I think that the Dodgers, again, were buying high this offseason. They did a lot of questionable spending. And this is part of it. For 12 years, $325 million for someone who hasn't pitched ever in the MLB, like you just said. I'm gonna be sounding, people are gonna come in these comment sections and say I'm an idiot or say I was smart or whatever say we're smart with our grades, because I'm giving this an absolute F. Done. F. Worst, one of the worst contracts I think ever.
So those are our grades for the top 5 MLB free agent contracts of all time. You let us know in the comments if you agree or disagree.